I just allowed cloud recording. I don't know where that goes. But I deleted all of my recordings, so I don't know what's up with this. Or almost all my recordings. All right, we can wait. We'll see. Hopefully it won't kick us off again. And now that Jim's here, we have a quorum. So why don't we go back to the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended with the correct date at the top and the northwest corner being fixed down in 3A?
So moved.
Okay, we've got Jim
Dr. Peterson.
and Rich second. Any other comments or questions, corrections? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. I just also wanted to point out that at the last meeting, it was the a presentation from Pels about the housing market numbers, and I put his presentation, the slides that he prepared on the EDC website. So if you would like to reference those. And then I also looked back and I did not see the ones that he had presented in 2023. So I loaded those up as well. So if anybody wants to just see the comparison, the reports that he did were a little bit different, but most of the same data. So that's good. And hi, Trisha, welcome. We just approved the minutes. That's as far as we are.
Great.
All right, so just quick update. I don't expect today's meeting to be very long, but we do have a little bit of business to discuss. Few things I've been working on with the fall newsletter is due to the printer tomorrow or the next day. So I've been working on getting that all sorted out with the designer and getting all the articles and pictures in. We are looking for someone to proof that. The person who had been doing it for years is not anymore. And both Kathy and I have reached out to a few people. We just we're doing a careful reading ourselves this time. But we just would love another set of eyes on it. So if somebody knows someone who's good at proofing, please let me know. Because we would love to have somebody just take a look at the articles.
Is there any fact checking involved?
Not really. If there's something that seems concerning, certainly then reach out, but I sort of leave it up to the organizations because they're submitting their own dates for events. I'm not going to go check a calendar or anything on that. So, oh look, Kristen too. Look at us go. So not really. We assume that the person writing the article is the authority, unless there's something seems a little off, and then we can check. It's mostly grammar, just checking for, and also mistakes, whether it's just have the wrong year on something. We've caught that before. Somebody cut and pasted something from a previous article, and it just doesn't make sense with everything else. Something like that. Those kind of errors is what we're usually looking for. All right. Also, I had fallen behind on the welcome letters. To remind everybody what that is, every month I go through the conveyance tax records and get the addresses of everybody who's bought a house in town, and I send them a welcome letter along with a little guide to the services in Washington and a slip of paper asking for their email address to sign up for the selectman's email. They also, in the letter, it says how they can do it themselves by going online. So they don't necessarily have to send it in to me, but it just points everybody to the selectman's email is a great way to get information. And it also points out Explore and the monthly newsletters. So I had fallen behind on those, but I had a student from Frederick Gunn School who's interested in government do a little work with me this summer, helped set up for the block party, and he came in and helped me get those all caught up. So we sent out 31 letters, which was all of the homes that had been sold in Washington through June. We are seeing a continued, people buying homes in LLCs and other, I still try to send a letter. But I take a second address if it's on the conveyance form. So if they have in New York or sometimes it's a Florida, I still try to get to them. I send, because not all of the homes have a mail receptacle, so they get sent back to me. I have 3 that got sent back sitting at my desk, and so I'll try one more time to send it to somebody just to reach out and welcome them to town and to let them kind of know. And if you haven't seen the services brochure, it's one I did years ago and I need to kind of update it. But it just has sort of a little blurb about all the different departments in town hall. And reminding people that if you want to, add on to your deck, you should visit the land use office and zoning first. Or if you don't know where to get a trash can or for recycling or any of that stuff, kind of just a little intro to the town. So worked on that. I have met a couple of times, so with the Northwest Hills COGS EDC has been meeting, they've hired Miranda Creative to help meet some of the objectives of our 5-year plan to increase tourism and awareness of things happening in the Northwest corner. And they are a PR firm that is working on taking stock and of everything that's happening and getting the Litchfield Hills, Discover Litchfield Hills website sort of up to date and working better. And also on the whole social media campaign. And it has been improving, which is great. Our Explore Washington website is still sort of the gold standard, and so I continue to, it's almost an embarrassment of riches whenever we go to the CT Visit website and see that our small little town dominates the Northwest corner, but it's because we provide great pictures and great stories and content, so they pull it. So but I have been attending those meetings. Also, I will be speaking at a summit that's hosted by the Northwest Hills Arts Council and the Northwest Hills Council of Governments. It's called Creative Economies Summit, and there'll be a panel on the economic growth coming from promoting new creative industries. So that's September 11th. It should be interesting. I think that the panel that I'll be participating on is part of the Connecticut Main Street. So I'll let you know how that goes. The Arts Council's been busy. They're working in conjunction with Steep Rock's 100th anniversary. We're doing a photo exhibition like we did 2 years ago. We're encouraging people to submit their favorite photos of Steep Rock. I think it's called What Steep Rock Means to Me. And so it could be from the past or current, any season, any place. We'll be developing 50 photos and putting them on display here at Town Hall for 2 weeks. And we'll be having an opening that's in October. It will be open during Harvest Fest time. So just to let you know that will be coming, and the Arts Council's been very busy. Let's see, I've also been working with the sustainability on the EV chargers, and as well as the Selectman's office. We were approved for grants for the 2 EV chargers, one in New Preston and one in the depot. It's sort of an initiative of sustainability, but the EDC as well, because of the being put on the map for people who are traveling allows people to stop here and charge their car and then go and have some lunch or do a little shopping and while their car is charging. So it promotes economic growth as well as just building out the infrastructure for electric vehicles. And if you go to the maps of charging places for the Northwest corner, there are not a lot of public chargers up in the Northwest corner, so it would definitely be helpful to people coming up to be able to charge. I think that's mostly it. Does anyone have questions on any of that stuff that I've been working on? There are some others as well, and we'll be talking about one. No. All right.
Very talkative group.
Oh, they'll weigh in soon. All right, old business, the guidebook reprint, the project that continues. I have the latest final draft, from Julia. And I have been, it's tediously going through to make sure we had, it was 58 updates and changes. So I'm going and cross-referencing to make sure that those were all made. And while I'm doing that, I'm waiting, the WBA needs to decide how many they're gonna order, and I have one more. I've like been going back and forth with two other people who often order the guidebooks to get that order finalized. So we're in that home stretch. And I expect that order to be going in within the next week or two. So that's where we are.
Hey, Michelle.
Yes.
I don't, if this throws a wrench in everything, then just ignore it. But it looks like that Italian house place that's not too far from 202 is closed. Like all the signage is gone.
Which what?
It's that little drive-through. It was
Oh,
called, yeah, and so all the signs are gone. And the only reason I bring it up is because it was on my list originally and it had a different name from before.
yeah.
But now it looks like it's closed.
I remember, I'm glad you reminded me, but I will double check because that was on our list of like in red, double check to make sure. And then I drove by and I didn't see it. And I was like, wait, am I looking in the right place? Was it Ziggy's or something at one point?
Before that, yeah. I think so.
All right. Thank you. I will double check to
So,
make sure that we've pulled that up.
thanks.
Sure. All right. No other questions. We'll move on to new business. So, in this year's budget, so you have to remember back, we presented in January and we talked about it in December. One of the things that we budgeted for was to explore putting a restroom at the Nick Platt Field in New Preston. We'd been hearing from the New Preston businesses that the fact that there are no facilities, no bathroom facilities was a real problem for them. Parking has been a problem. So we've got, actually, I have the new parking signs to direct people up there from New Preston and just haven't been able to connect with the highway department to get those up. But one of the EV chargers is going into that Nick Platt lot. And we wanted to explore adding a restroom. They had actually asked about porta potties and Jim thought an actual bathroom might be better. So we have not the money to do it, but to explore. We need to check septic to see if, have some perk tests done to see if it's possible, there's zoning and everything. And I spoke with Jen Pody, who's head of Parks and Rec, and she felt that we really should talk to the Parks and Rec commission about that park to just sort of float the idea through them since they oversee our parks. So Jen suggested we go to their next meeting, which would be September 8th. So I think at 5 o'clock, it's a Monday. So I haven't really, I did a little bit of work. I think what needs to be explained is just sort of the idea, the problem that we're trying to solve. And some ideas about what this could look like or just what we were thinking about. So I'm gonna work on that. Obviously, that presentation to Parks and Rec would be before our next meeting. So if we would like to work on that together, or if you want me to put something together for us to weigh in on, we could ask to go on to their October meeting. Or we could form a small committee to sort of work on that. If anybody is interested in attending that with me, that would be great. I think I went online actually to a company. Let me see if I had it open. I meant to open it. So a company called Public Restroom Company, and they had an article about. Let me just see where. I want to see if I can share my screen. Yeah, here we go. Can everyone see this? The green box here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is from an article. Park restroom design considerations. And it's actually a great article because it talks about size, and not just compliance, but well, the article came out during the pandemic, so it was pandemic, but security and safety and a lot of design features intended for a public park where there is not staff on site. And I thought this picture right here was actually really helpful in just visualizing what a very small restroom could look like. It's a one uh person, you know, all gender bathroom. This is actually a little changing table, which is cute, and sink, and then it's water fountains, and then like a closet, a mop closet for cleaning supplies and stuff like that. So I thought that was helpful, so we could for visualizing what could go there. This company has all sorts of different examples. It wouldn't have to look just like this. We could try to match. Let's see, they talk about architecture. They have all sorts of different styles. I'm not saying we would have to use this company, but it's just not, I feel like if we're gonna go talk to Parks and Rec, it's helpful to have some examples of what we were thinking, that might work, and just to visualize.
Michelle,
Uh,
have you ever seen the one at Hollister House? And it might even be a compostable toilet system. I'm not even sure, but it's quite nice.
Thank you, Liz. I was hoping that people would have examples that we could,
You
that
know,
are.
they have a toilet in their, restrooms in their barn, but outside, when the barn's closed and everything's closed, and it's just, the garden open day, they have a small restroom, very, very nice, and it's quite possibly a compostable system. I'm not sure about that part, though.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will definitely go and check that out and ask them about it and take pictures. Does anyone else have any that are small that they can picture or visualize, like that they're aware of?
Well,
That are,
there's a welcome center in Kent, but that has a shower in it as well.
I have pictures of that one.
Yeah,
We were working on a kiosk or a bulletin board or something. I forget what we were working on, or the welcome center when we were doing it in
yeah,
the Legion Hall.
yeah.
But that is larger. It's two
Much
bath.
larger.
Yeah.
Um, it may be cheaper, more cost effective to do your own rather than to get a, prefab.
I agree. I agree. I just wanted to try to
Yeah, examples. Yeah,
examples.
yeah,
Well, and this one, even though it doesn't have dimensions on it, you need to make sure you're to code
sure. Yeah.
that. Has everybody been up to Nick Platt Park? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I have heard through the grapevine that maybe other things are being planned for up there. Rebecca McMacken was talking about there being a pollinator garden and a children's playground and all sorts of things. So I'm curious about the whole endeavor, really.
So what I heard from, I'm gonna quick while we're chatting, pull up the map. I heard that she had some ideas and was going to present to Parks and Rec, her ideas. Let me go back to sharing. Where is Zoom? Where's my Zoom?
Well, I'd be definitely interested in getting involved in anything involved with that, because the garden club might be able to help out. Oops.
I know what I'm having her. I'm trying to move. All right. Shoot. Am I sharing the Zoom settings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Here you go.
Here we go. So here's the New Preston Church. right? So here's,
Right, right.
and this is, so if we, here's, this is like J Sites, I think, right here, Church Street
Yeah.
in New Preston. And if you walk up Church Street to here, and I mapped it just a little bit ago, it is 0.1 miles. It's a 4-minute walk, so it's very short. And this right here is Nick Platt, is the Nick Platt Park. So the parking lot is right here. The EV charger is actually going right here on a pole. There's a pole right there that is perfect. This right here is an existing playground. It's a cute little playground. And this is a field. My kids used to actually have soccer practice up there when they were really little. It was like the U8s or something,
Mhm.
little field. So it's a nice area. It's let's see, I looked it up on the assessor's map. 2.67 acres. So it's a decent sized
Mhm.
field. And playground, it's a cute little playground. So we would want whatever bathroom we put in, I think it would be most appropriate to be, right off the parking to make it as accessible as possible. Oh, well, it would be required, I think, to be accessible. So, or an ADA compliant, or as ADA compliant as can be. So I don't know if then there's a lot of consideration about placement. We would obviously want to make it look nice and maybe tuck it. Well, I was gonna say along the trees, but then there's probably setbacks on the property lines. So well, this would require some visiting with zoning and just to see sort of what the options would be. Yeah. So I think the smaller the footprint, better. And one of the things that I think is challenging about this is I completely agree. I'm happy to go talk to Parks and Rec, but I won't be able to answer all the questions they will have because we won't have done the research,
Right,
right? So we need the permission
Right.
first,
right.
right? So they're gonna ask like who's gonna open and close it, and right now the WBA takes the weekends for Legion Hall here for the Welcome Center we have there to open the bathrooms. So I would envision sort of a shared schedule with the businesses, if they each took a day or something, I don't know. Or, staffing and increasing workload is definitely gonna be a concern of Parks and Rec. And so we need to.
They
it
do
just-
have automatic open and closing capabilities with this technology today. It's
Awesome. That's a
really
good
more
point.
about cleaning.
So we wouldn't have to send anyone over with a key. We
Right.
would just want to have somebody check on it every so often.
Right, for cleaning, that's it.
Yeah, just to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
I am hoping that, a couple of the stores that have real parking issues will consider asking their employees to park up there so that it can free up spaces, because that's part of the issue is the parking in New Preston. Oh, that was another thing I was gonna ask you all. If you happen to ever go through New Preston, on a busy weekend or whenever and see parking issues, please take a picture because I want to explain and be able to show the problem we're trying to solve. I know I've seen it. I've seen people parked in very unsafe ways, certainly at that intersection near J Sites, packed in all around 9 Main. The Owl often has some creative parking going on there. Yeah, I mean, people park and they park on the side going down past Pergola, down, on the right-hand side instead of going in front of the Smithy. And if there are no spots left, they'll just kind of keep creating them. So now they're out in it's definitely creates some unsafe situations. And so that's what we're kind of hoping to alleviate and solve. I don't expect there to be tons of people in this parking lot. But even 4 cars would make a difference when it's packed.
Is there a sidewalk on Church Street?
So there actually is a sidewalk.
I'm getting up there a little.
I walked it the other day. I was over with, we were looking for where to put the parking signs. I was there with Jim and Kevin from the highway department. And there's only this one house here and it's, where is that bridge? It doesn't go there, like there's a little section once you get to the bridge where
Yeah.
there is not, but once you get to the bridge, it's asphalt and it goes along this side all the way up to the church.
Is it in good condition?
It's in great condition. It is not completely ADA compliant. It's not, it's rather narrow.
Yeah.
But for around here, it's actually remarkable that it exists at all.
Will there be signs, public restrooms this way also?
Well,
So we will know where we go.
we could add those. I gotta get the parking ones in and then the EV charger signs and then the
Yeah.
restroom sign, you know. We can talk about
Right
that.
before the was.
Yeah. Well, and the idea isn't, and all the shops here in the depot know that the restrooms are available in Legion Hall. So the idea would be the shops would also be able to tell people it, because some of them have no bathroom at all to offer and others just can't offer because of septic, it's not open to the public. So they could say, you know, I'm so sorry, but there's one up at the top of the hill. So they could direct people to the restrooms. And then anybody parking up there would obviously see it. So it's a good question then, actually. Talk about signage. Okay, all right. We'll stop the share. See. Yeah, so what else, anything else I'm not thinking of?
Michelle, is
Yeah.
that Congregational Church in New Preston a working church?
It is. It is still active. I think it's small, but I think it is active. So there's the Congregational church is right there, and then the Housing Trust apartments are right across the street there. So it's sort of a little kind of a neighborhood. The corners and Church Street comes to a stop, right? You know, it ends at the park. So if you make your way onto to Church Street, you will just stop right at the park.
And I just didn't know if maybe they'd have some bathrooms that we could work with them and do a public bathroom in an existing building, you know, do some kind of partnership. I don't know anything about that church and how often they meet and if they have bathrooms that could be used. It was just an idea.
Yeah, it's a good one. I actually don't think I've ever been inside the building and I'm not sure. You know, it would be one of those things, kind of like Legion Hall, they would probably want to be able to lock off the rest of the church, you know, if they're accessible to the outside without necessarily walking through the whole place. That might be a consideration. So, has anyone else been in there?
People talking about it, if it was them that, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
breaking up,
start
Robert.
over.
Oh, sorry. I haven't been in there and I can't remember from clergy meetings if they were joking about them not having restrooms or if that was a different church, but I don't know that the church itself has restrooms. Their parish hall might. So
Where's
I'm
the
not sure. Oh, it's right like on the one end.
Oh, okay.
You know, they have just like a little fellowship room with a little kitchen and stuff, but I've never looked for the restroom, so I don't know. But we can ask in a couple weeks when we see them at the pavilion.
Oh, okay. That would be great. And maybe, yeah, we could sort of feel out whether that's something they would even be open to.
Even
Yeah.
if it's just temporary until we get our act together with the building itself,
Right,
the new space.
yeah. Could be a nice little arrangement potentially.
Yeah.
Let's see, yeah. Any other thoughts? Things to consider? Anybody possibly available, you don't have to let me know now, you can email me, check your calendars to see if anyone else could go to the Monday, September 8th Parks and Rec. Liz, you can? Wonderful, thank you. That's great too, because I know that the person who wanted to present with the pollinator garden. I don't know if they'll be on that agenda as well, but it'd be nice since you're interested in that as well.
Michelle, that the lady that had it was a fairly comprehensive proposal for that area, but she was on the agenda for the last Parks and Rec, but didn't show up. So I don't know if they're going to put her on for this month's or if she's able to make it. But it was, I think, one of the key things, and I talked a little bit about this to Parks and Rec was, I mean, like I said, her proposal was 3 or 4 pages long of a variety of different things. Obviously, collaborate with that. But I think one of the first steps is to bring some of the neighbors in on this that live up there, because that's typically one of the quieter areas of town. And if we're going to increase the intensity, whether it's the Church Street apartment folks, the residents that live along Church Street, Hinkle Road, things like that, we just want to keep that in mind.
That's a great idea. This is where I get I'm confused. I'm trying to figure out like which goes first. Because, I mean, Parks and Rec, I suppose, may ask if we've spoken to the neighbors. But the neighbor, if we don't have permission from Parks and Rec or the septic, it's like which comes first? I guess we just float the idea and say, hey, we're thinking of this. To some of the neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah, or I think the first step would be, to your point, Parks and Rec is a good one. So if they want to take some hybrid version of what this lady had proposed, or they want to go with, a simpler, whether it's restrooms, additional playground space, whatever the case may be, have a notion of what they'll support going forward and then engage the neighbors.
Okay. That makes sense. So we'll start with Parks and Rec. And they may ask us to speak with neighbors before they kind of sign off on anything, which is fine. Or we'll see what they say. Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, we're as EDC, I'm responding to what the businesses requested with the restroom and the parking. I think additional gardens and playgrounds is lovely, but that's not really my that's not, I mean, like, it could go together. This could be a project that works, goes together, but that's not like the mission or the issue that we're trying to address. So
No.
I don't.
Yeah, it may be a hybrid of a couple of different ideas, but I think it's incumbent upon Parks and Rec to flesh out something in a first draft. In other words, you don't want to go to the neighbors saying, we're thinking of this range to this range, and it could be anything. That just sends people bananas, and you want to have something concrete that you can answer questions,
I totally agree. That's why I was a little concerned. I definitely think they should be brought on board, but at what stage? And I feel like we should have some more, have a better, like a closer to the vision. We should be closer before we start down that road. I kind of probably would want to have an initial meeting with land use, because I don't really know about the limitations zoning wise. I mean, it's town-owned property. I know there's a section about town-owned property, but it's not zoned commercial. I mean, I guess it's kind of like down at the school space. Town-owned properties are have some of their own guidelines as to what you can and cannot do on them, right?
Land use would definitely have, it wouldn't be a designation as a town property. It's where that property is located. So is it in a business district, a residential district, that type of thing?
It's residential.
Right.
But so is the Riverwalk and the Pavilion. That's residential. It's not commercial.
Agreed, but you saw what happened to pickleball.
No, that's why I want to just make sure, before I go to the neighbors,
Yeah.
Kind of make sure that there's even the possibility that it's hard to know where to start, right? Because and then we could try to go for perk tests and they could say absolutely not. So we'll
I
start
think
with
you start with Parks and Rec,
yeah,
get an idea from them. Again, it doesn't have to be a final draft, but a first draft. Then you speak
right.
to land use about the possibilities and then bring the neighbors on board, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds like a good order. Okay, thank you. That was very helpful conversation. Any other thoughts? Okay, great. Right. Next on the agenda, Harvest Fest, October 12th, 12 to 5. The signups just went out from the WVA. The last year we partnered with the Arts Council to just explain what we do and collect emails for the selectmen's email. It was a great time. Abdo from the Arts Council was there with his mojitos. We were very popular. Now, I'm just wondering if we're interested in doing that again and are people able to help man that? It is 12 to 5, so it is a longer period of time. But if we were to partner with the Arts Council again, I'm assuming they want to be there as well. It just helps so more people to spread the work out. So thoughts?
I'm
Oh,
not here that weekend, so I can't help.
Kristen's out, okay.
I can help. I'll help.
I can do some of that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I cannot.
Yeah, are you out?
Yeah.
Okay.
12, sure.
And
Yeah, I might have to do something with the garden club if they decide that they're gonna have their little tent up, so.
Sotheby's usually does something, but back with them, I can't do well.
right, yeah, Sotheby's is usually there.
Well, yeah.
She usually brings the
Yeah,
couches
we
and
have a
creates a
hall,
lounge
yeah.
and coloring stuff for the kids.
So-
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful festival, but it is also a lot of work. So, yeah, all right. Well, if I feel like if we have, I can be there. And if we have one or two people from EDC, one or two people from the Arts Council, that's probably enough to get through these.
Just to man a table, so,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
yep. And usually just, so you know, what we do is, I've got the tablecloth and all the stuff and we put out copies of the newsletter or the guidebook. And, just explain about the selectmen's email and explore, trying to catch new people who've moved to town, introduce ourselves. We usually get a few. We often will raffle. They sign up with their email. And then we'll raffle off a mug or a bat, Washington, some kind of
Cool. Yeah.
swag. And yeah, so it's not I mean, I feel like it's worthwhile. We usually make a few